Hey everybody, this is Ray Flick, television beat writer for Bleeding Cool, welcoming you back to our weekly recap review of AMC's Fear the Walking Dead Season 4. And yeah, we've actually made it to the summer break. We are looking at the last episode, the mid-season finale, before we go on hiatus when the show comes back in August. So let me tell you what I thought about it. The mid-season finale of Season 4, No One's Gone, okay. Probably the best way for me to put it. I'm not trying to sound like Debbie Downer. It just was, I feel like 7 episodes of build up to a lot of, okay. I don't know if my expectations were that I was expecting some kind of different take, a new twist, something a little different, but not only did it end up going the way I thought it was going to go, it went softer than I thought it was going to go, and then we still don't even have a solid resolution, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But to be fair, it's not, I don't want to say that there weren't good aspects of it too, and it's a very Jekyll and Hyde, and I'll talk about this, but I think from my review overall, I've been a bigger fan of the new aspects more than the returning aspects, and I think this mid-season finale really drove that point home for me. But again, I've broken it down to pros and cons. Let me start getting into them. I'm going to start off pros because let's start off on a good note. Madison and Althea, their scenes together, the scenes between Maggie Grace and Kim Dickens are amazing. I wish there were more scenes between them. I think they just chewed up the screen time and just have a really good chemistry that I'm hoping we get to see in the future, and I'll talk about that in a minute because I think I would hope you know what I'm talking about in that regard. Alicia, I want to get the actress's name correct, Alicia Debnam-Carey. Wow, the cycle her characters make. Let me say this. I didn't stick with Fear the Walking Dead a lot from the very beginning. So I didn't know really what to expect from her character. But the way I've seen her almost play 2 different characters from the then and the now, and the way her character just cycled in this episode, and there's a scene, well, I'll hold off on that in a second as I'm going to talk about Morgan, but there's just a scene that she has with Morgan towards the end that's just really amazing, and you see her possibly coming back to what she used to be, but we know she's never fully going to be because of just how much she's lost or possibly lost. Morgan, wow. I've seen more out of Morgan's character personally, and I'm not saying this to put down The Walking Dead in any way, shape, or form, because I love the series and I love his role on it. But I've seen more growth and involvement and proactive out of his character in these 8 episodes than I've seen out of most of his run on The Walking Dead. And that is a tribute to Lenny James. I was just going to reference it before. There's a scene he has with Alicia towards the end where he makes a comment about, I sidestepped your brother, I'm not going to sidestep you. And the way she's just come to trust him. I'm really looking forward to seeing what we get more from Lenny James as it moves on. I love the fact that we find out that it's not Laura, it's not even Naomi, that it's actually June. I thought that was a nice touch. And again, this segues into John Dory, who is one of my favorite characters of all time of any series that is on currently right now. I think he's just, the way they've introduced him and the way he's just was a relevant character in this episode, even wounded and dying. And the way he even sneaks that little, flirty line in, like, June is my favorite month. It just, June and John Dory, June and John, how cute is that? I think I'm looking forward to seeing more from them together also. I think it's just a really, really great chemistry there. And the end of the episode where they're all sharing the noodles in the exchange between Al and Madison when they first met, it was very sweet. And I thought it bookended the opening surprise, which I thought was nice, was this idea of, like, Althea didn't even realize it at the time that she had met Madison after the destruction with the dam, that they had met and they had talked, but of course she just went by a different name, so there was no way for her to know. So I thought that was a nice closure to that setup. The cons, I'm going to be honest with you, they really were driving home this idea of Madison as the Jesus sacrificing figure that I just thought got to be so well over the top, and I think I thought her character deserved a more well-roundedness to it. That's why I like the way Kim Dickens played Madison in the very beginning of this episode, because I think it showed layers to the character that I think overall it just, and again, maybe because it ended up, we think, going the way it was going to go, a lot of build-up to essentially, I'll equate it to Carl's death is probably the best way to put it, an inevitability that seemed like it was stretched out a little too long. Assuming she's dead, because we go to the next point is, after all of this, we don't get a body, and if there's one thing we've learned, if there's no body, there's no real death. and especially in television, whenever you need a good moment, you just never know. However, I gotta say, this would be a really cool way to segue her into The Walking Dead and be alpha, because I know that's one of the big fan theories, and I know I'm a big fan of that concept too. So maybe that's a possibility. I think that would be kind of awesome if they went that way. But again, right now it's like, yeah, but you left it as a question mark, and it's just 100 different ways they can go with that. Victor and Luciana, I'm just not. I didn't buy them into their characters this half. Victor Strand, I don't know. There's just something about the intensity of his acting in every single time. I don't know. I'm not buying into it. And Luciana, I'm liking what I'm seeing possibly of her character for the second half. But in the first half, I understand the coldness and I understand the reserve and holding back. I just hope we get more of her character in the second half. But Victor, I still haven't quite warmed up to. My other issue is now that we know what Ennis did and the unleashing of the walkers and everything like that, I'm surprised it took Nick that long, now that we've seen it, to go after Ennis. I mean, you essentially brought all of this hell down upon everybody. I wouldn't think it would become a lot of debate, discussion, back and forth, and things like that. I thought it would be something that would be pretty damn immediate. And again, also, overall, I just felt like the episode was stretched out for what we got. We got some really nice moments, but it felt like it was an additional 20 minutes to the previous episode, as opposed to something that should have been an hour and 10. So, having said all of this, I like where the series is posed for the second half. I know they're going to be moving away from the then and the now for a more consistent narrative. The idea of the storms and the walkers getting thrown around the storms, I'll be honest with you, from a fanboy standpoint, I just kind of like that concept. I think it's pretty cool. But overall, I think it's really in a good position for the second half. I just wish something more for the mid-season finale. I felt like I didn't need cliffhangers or anything like that, because I hate when shows do that. But I don't know. I just felt like it was a lot of build-up to a lot of assumptions to, okay, whatever, and then with a little caveat of, and it may not even be that. So that's my thought. Hopefully, again, fingers crossed, I think we're going to be getting a really strong second half to AMC's Fear the Walking Dead Season 4. Again, major fingers crossed on that one. Thank you guys for joining me. Again, my name is Ray Flick, television beat writer for Bleeding Cool. Make sure you check out bleedingcool.com for anything and everything under the pop culture sun and across the pop culture landscape. Enjoy your week, folks. Really hope you enjoy the review.